All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua, and I'm going to be your presenter today, where our topic is accounting and donations, a little crossover for both, dealing with an NSF check gift check, basically. You know, when a member or visitor to the church has presented us with a check, that when we attempt to deposit that, it is determined later that that account is overdrawn and the check is insufficient. We're going to work together for about the next 20 minutes or so. I'm not even sure this topic may even take the full 20 minutes. It is just me here today, so please, if you have any questions, you're welcome to type those into the questions portion of your control panel there. But I'll try to keep an eye on it. I'll try to find a spot to repeat the question for everyone and see what we can't do to answer that during the event. However, I may not. So I will be happy to stick around after I've finished up, what my main topic is, to try and answer your questions. I do ask that you do keep those to our topic at hand here, dealing with NSF checks, through donations and how they affect accounting. We're back to our webinar events for the month of April after taking a break for Easter there. Welcome to all of you. If you've never used the control panel before for the webinar and you've got a single monitor, be sure to click the little red arrow at the top there to minimize the control panel. That'll allow you to get the full visual effect of the presentation here. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that makes dealing with an NSF check from donations or from a contributor a little tricky is we have two modules that are in essence often affected. Donations, where the giver's record is posted, and then in accounting, where our books are affected. And there are different needs or different things that need to occur in both of those modules that have to occur separately. And again, I think that will make sense here after I've gone through it. There are two problems, basically: how to deal with the donations problems, how to deal with it in accounting. And that's what we're going to just cover here. The first half of it, the first part of it in terms of dealing with donations is pretty straightforward. We go into, FYI, of course, many of you may have received it, but we're now working on our 18.15.2 version of Church Windows, albeit we literally just released 18.15.3 today. You can go to the Church Windows website if you haven't already received an email about it. And you can go and download that latest patch or service release. If not, you'll be getting an email from us. Before I get started here, FYI, when we go to our browser page here and go to the Church Windows website, we go down the left side to our support blog. Right down here under support, we see support blog at the bottom. When we click on the support blog page and we get to our main blog page, if we just simply click in the keyword in our search for NSF and simply click search, it takes a second or two, but right here we do have a PDF document that you can print on donations on how to handle an NSF check. Okay, right there. So you can print that, not attaching it here because it's available out there 24/7 for you to access. Just, it's important that you know that it's there if you'd like some, a printout that'll detail basically the exact same steps that I'm going through today. All right, so now we're back in Church Windows, dealing with, again, our donations problem versus accounting. We'll deal with donations first. So in essence means going in to donations, going up to our donations in the top left and browse, opening our browse donations, typing in our, if necessary, under our giver menu basically you have to find the giver whose check was insufficient. Okay. So right here we're going to assume that our gift from Jan Adams on March 6th was NSF, or the gift was NSF. Oh, it looks like she had a couple different checks on that day. Well, that's all right. So we've got, right here, one transaction number 1817 for one check, 1323 for Jan, for $25, and then she gave us another one, $84.54, from probably another account for $50. So we're going to pretend in this case or assume that the one for $50 was NSF. Okay. So here now we can go up, we highlight the transaction right up here at the top right of our Browse Donations window. We've got our button called Reverse and NSF. Okay, and that's what we're going to click. Once you've highlighted the specific entry, you're simply going to click the Reverse and NSF button. And you certainly can enter comments. I'm going to leave it as the original date of the transaction on March 6th. And the one thing you may probably want to do here is reversed due to non-sufficient funds. Okay. So we're going to put a check mark in that box. And we're going to click OK. And I am going to click OK and transfer, albeit I'm not going to transfer this correction over to donations. Okay. I'll explain here in a moment. So it says permanently reverse donation 1819. Yes. It says donations 1819 has been reversed by 1994. So there's a record of it. Now notice here, when we get to our transfer donations window to transfer donations to accounting screen, it is wanting to naturally transfer over an adjustment to accounting with a negative $50, which makes complete sense. Okay? The system wants to do that because that's just how donations and accounting is constructed and designed, is when we make an adjustment to donations, and it naturally wants to think that accounting has been affected if we're using both of those modules. However, one of the things we have to keep in mind, there are two factors that are impacting this here. One is the date. So even though I may have deposited that check at the bank on March 6th, the bank didn't even know at that particular time that the check was insufficient. Not until a day or 2 or 3 or 5 days later, or however long it took for them to actually run the check. Okay? So that's factor number one. When they realize it's insufficient, it might be days later before they make the adjustment to your bank account. Okay? So that date is also going to be very important. So that would be one of the reasons why I don't want to transfer it over, is because it isn't going to appear on my bank statement on March 6th. It's going to appear on March 10th or 11th or 12th or whenever the bank records that. Okay? So there's reason number one why I probably don't want to transfer it over to accounting as well. The other reason is that when I transfer over a negative amount such as this to donations, it makes an adjustment to my bank reconciliation on my deposit side of my bank rec. Okay, it shows as a negative $50, and in this case it would show as negative $50 on March 6th. Okay, it's not a deposit adjustment. It's simply a removal of a balance from my account. The deposit was originally correct. We're going to go ahead and transfer this over, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So it's going to put over a $50, posted, yeah, it's okay. So now we're going to jump over to accounting, and we're going to take a look at our bank reconciliation for the month of March. Okay, I don't have anything selected here, but that's all right. It's not that difficult to create one. March 31st, perfect. We're just going to plug $1 into each one of these fields just to get through these. I'm not trying to reconcile this month. And we go to next and next, and on my March 6th date, sorry, there's stuff in here for previous years, March 6th, there it is. So right here, I'm sorry, I don't have a zoom capability on this, folks. Here's my original deposit for $24.93.48, and then right below that, a negative amount for $50 for March 6th. Well, it may show up as negative $50, on my statement, but it definitely doesn't show up as on March 6th, and it's not going to show up on my deposits. Okay, so again, these are two reasons why we generally will not want to transfer our donations over to our adjustments when we reverse due to NSF status over to accounting. Okay, so if I did indeed do this, I would want to go in and probably manually reverse transaction number 189, and we're going to do just that. Okay. So let's get right back to our regular drawing tool here. We're going to close out. We're going to go up to transactions. we're going to use our change year filter and sort. We're going to type in 189 through 189. Click OK. What do you know? Here's our $50 adjustment. So I'm going to highlight that, click reverse. Yeah, it's telling us it can generate discrepancies. We understand. Click yes. I'm going to leave it as original date occurred March 6th. I'm not going to enter any comments, and I'm going to click yes. Okay, so if I go back and I'm looking at 189 and I'm doing show reversed, this is important. So my original account that was affected when I had credited over the money from Jan on March 6th was my general tithes and offerings income account. That becomes important. So I've dealt with her record already. Her statement is now correct. I've reversed that off of there. I can just repost a new check when she gives me a replacement check and the account's good. Okay, just run that through donations as a new transaction. Okay, so now I still have yet to deal with my accounting issues. So how we generally deal with that is we're going to go back into accounting, go up to transactions, across the top center here to other, and we could do either an adjust asset transaction or a journal entry. I'm awfully fond of the adjust asset. It's a journal entry too. It's just that one of the accounts that's involved in the journal entry is always an asset. In a journal entry, who knows what accounts I could choose. So in this case, I'm going to do my adjust asset. I'm going to choose my bank account or the asset that the original check was deposited to. I'm going to decrease it. I'm going to type in $50. I could put in certainly any NSF fees or anything that I was assessed or charged by the bank if I wish. Okay. And then I'm going to put this in now as my date occurred as the date that the actual amount was adjusted or deducted from my account on my bank statement. So here we are back in March. I posted it on March 6th date. Let's assume at that point that it was on Friday, March 11th that they had done that. So now when I go and I'm going to choose March 11th, I'm going to put in, NSF adjustment for NSF check from Jan Adams. Then down here under my other account, again, we're dealing with a dual entry fund accounting system here, so we have to have two accounts involved in every transactions. I'm going to type in general, and here's my general tithes and offering income, and I'm going to type in $50 there. I need to reduce that. I don't have the $50 in income in my account anymore, so I want to reduce that so it accurately adjusts and restates my treasurer's report. And I'm going to click post. We're not going to print it here. So now when I go back to my bank reconciliation, we'll choose our Huntington Bank checking. We're going to go down to our select to saved list. Here's our March 6th, batch or statement period. We go to next. Nothing on deposits now. Now when we go down to March 6th, 2016, notice only the $24.93.48 because, again, at the time when I made that deposit, the bank didn't even know my check was insufficient. So it's fine. My deposit did show up as $24.93.48. Okay, so I would mark that as cleared like I would normally, along with my other deposits. Then I would roll over to withdrawals, and again, scrolling down to March 6th of 2015, 16, excuse me. There it is. So there's my $50 withdrawal right here on March 11th, showing adjustment for NSF check. So I would simply mark that as cleared. That now matches with my bank reconciliation perfectly, and this transaction is not affecting my bank reconciliation. Okay, it should reconcile perfectly now. Again, I can go in and post a new check from Jan whenever I receive it. Sometimes the bank will rerun those checks. If so, then they're generally not going to show the adjustment on your statement. If they do, most of the time they're only going to show it up here as an adjustment if they've tried it maybe once or twice and the check still comes back as the account still comes back as insufficient. At which point then they might make the final adjustment on it. That's what makes it so there might even be a larger delay between the original deposit date and when they actually do eventually make the adjustment on the account. Maybe they try running the check 2-3 times. And then they go, we're not going to do this anymore. Okay, the account's clearly overdrawn and we're going to just make the adjustment. Um, but that's it, folks. I mean, that don't transfer over those adjustments from accounting because they will show up on your deposit side as a negative, not on the withdrawals, which is really what it is. They essentially do the same thing. You can do it either way you wish. You could go back and record it under your deposits as a negative if you wish. It will correct or adjust the income account. But I like the clear distinction between the original deposit transaction and the adjusting entry that I've posted through my journal entry. It's your database. You can do whatever you wish with it. Okay. That's it, folks. So we got about another 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes left. I'll do my best to see what I can answer questions for you on this topic here today. If you've seen what you came to see, by all means, please exit, leave webinar. We hope we'll see you at other future webinar events, perhaps those later this week. And thank you so much. All right, so here I'm seeing I only handle the accounting and not donations. Computer is not connected. Do I handle the NSF checks as you showed in accounting? That's a great question, Holly. It depends on, if you're making if you're recording the income in accounting some way for that deposit, yeah, you bet. You've got to make the adjustment in accounting to show that the bank adjusted it on your statement or you'll never reconcile. So sure, you could go in and leave the original deposit and make the adjustment to journal entry in the exact same way. At least that's my knee-jerk response. How do I handle a check if check is part of a multiple check batch? I'm sorry, Connie, I'm not understanding that question. If the check was part of a multiple, it is still its own separate transactions. Okay, I see what you mean now. Okay, about how if there's no checks are not entered. It doesn't matter about whether it's a check number or not. We have to go over to donations. There's still a transaction that's created in donations for that specific giver, if I'm understanding it correctly. If you just simply don't record check numbers and checks themselves, if you're giving them credit for it on their giving statement, you still have to go into donations, browse, find the transaction, and reverse it. Or if it's, say, part of like a general larger amount that's posted to... Okay. Well, so yeah, again, that's a question you'll probably need to call me on. I'm sorry, that I need more information as to how your system is handling that. I'm sorry. If it was part of a larger donations entry, I can still come in here and rather than reversing it, do correct and reduce it by the amount of the check that was returned, if that's what I think you're asking. Yeah, but if you're unclear about it, call me on it. I'll be happy to help. Chris is asking, will I be able to look at this webinar sometime where later, as I only handle the donations part and not the other? Yeah, absolutely, Chris. This will be released on our YouTube page and on our blog page at some point here. Unfortunately, I can't say exactly when. Hopefully here within the next couple of weeks it'll be up there, but sometimes that takes a little longer than that. We'll get it out there as quickly as we can, humanly possible. Thank you, Cynthia. You too. All right, folks. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. I know that those are sometimes take a little time consuming to enter in, so I don't know if somebody's typing in one of those for me. Yeah, and Connie, please call me if you have more questions about that. Yeah, I think that again, if you're saying that you're posting it as part of a larger lump sum gift total in donations, you can still come in, but instead of choosing reverse and NSF, just highlight the transaction and click correct. And then when you're in your correct donations, just adjust the amount here in the upper right and adjust the amount in the middle lower by that amount. That'll correct donations for you. Yes, and then still go over to accounting and post your adjustment as described. Christine, when you go into accounting, we go up to transactions, other here across the top, adjust asset. You're going to choose the bank account that the check was originally written from. You're going to decrease it by the amount that shows on your statement that the bank took out and with the date that it showed up on the statement. and then you're going to adjust whatever account was credited when the original batch was transferred over, in most cases an income account. And then just simply post that. That then shows on your withdrawals. Thank you, Bob. Yes, those are the types of details that we really need to be aware of. And again, it shows as a withdrawal on our checking our statement, not as an adjustment to the deposit. So, again, oftentimes when we're in our bank reconciliation, that negative amount, because folks are looking at it going, why is there a negative $50 on my deposit side? It should be appearing on withdrawals, not deposits. Shelly's asking, these donation corrections can be done after posted batch. Absolutely. You can still go in, Shelly, into donations, post an adjustment into donations using that browse donations anytime you wish. Great question. Okay. All right. It's about 21 minutes after the hour, folks. We, again, hope this has been helpful. Thank you all so much. Look for this video presentation or recording to be on our website at some point here in the future. And we look forward to seeing you at another future Church Windows User Group webinar event. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.